Marauders, and yeah, there comes a couple Marauders right now, but he needs to get concussive shells, obviously. At this moment in time, though, he can only afford to pump out this mass amount of Marines. He doesn't even have his 3rd or 4th gas up quite yet. And so, what is Select doing to counter the Mass Marine strategy? On the production tab, we don't quite see anything revealing yet, just pretty much standard play. We do have some siege tanks, though, and siege tanks in siege mode obviously just obliterate Mass Marines. It's not even funny. When the artillery shell lands, it blows up in such a large radius, all the Marines pretty much die. And Morrow will have to be careful. He will have to execute his attack with extreme finesse. Zelnaga Watchtower here just twitching out. And Morrow does have map control right now, so not bad. I like the placement of this sensor tower as well. But here we go, Select coming in with another Banshee. How many kills is this Banshee gonna get? Starting to harass the SCVs that are mining the gas, and keep in mind, Vespene gas is the limiting factor in Terran versus Terran. It is the most valuable resource, and it's something that Morrow needs to keep mining if he wants to win this game. He cannot allow his gas income rate to drop. And right now, even though that Banshee didn't get that many kills, it has actually forced Morrow to pull SCVs off the gas, and he's forgetting to put the SCVs back on the gas, so he is not refining Vespene at his full capacity. Select's going to come back in here once again with his Cloaked Banshee, just to get a couple pot shots off, and the turret firing a lot of damaging rockets on the hull of the Banshee. The Banshee is not going to be able to make it out of there, so Morrow hangs on, takes out another Banshee. We can see the harvester count dead even, but Morrow not harvesting gas. You guys can see his gas not looking too good right now, but he's got a very large amount of Marines as well as dropships. I've got to say, Morrow, yeah, there we go. Get your SCVs back on gas. I was a little worried right there that he might have just forgotten, but silly me. Morrow's a pro gamer. He's not going to forget such a trivial thing like that. He's going to come out here with a very menacing force of Marines, Marauders, as well as dropships to boot. And it's now, the pressure's now on Select. After the first 17 minutes in the game, Select has been applying pressure over and over and over again. Morrow's turn to turn the tables back onto Select, and he's going to be bringing the ball into the court with a very furious fury. He's going to be dropping all these Marauders and Marines right into the main, but Select does have a tank sieged up, and he stims his Marines and Marauders to get back into the main. Stimming, of course, does give you a little bit extra mobility, runs them back in there on the crack, and he's able to force Morrow to fall back. So Morrow's attack weathered the Select weathered the storm. Morrow's attack forced to fall back, and we will see how this game unfolds. But right now, keep in mind that Morrow is getting a 3rd expansion, so his income's about to skyrocket ahead of Select. This command center almost finishing, and I gotta say right now, both players do have enough harvesters. Morrow at least does to transfer all of his workers over and get full saturation at the 3rd, so that's something that Select will have to get sooner or later. Yeah, he's gonna try to get the command center up, but a Marine here, very valiant Marine, gonna kill off the SCV, possibly force a cancel on the command center. No, 2 Marines come in and finish off that intruder. So Select here looking pretty good. It's still hard to tell who's ahead right now. Select opting to go with a more mechanized force, and like I said, these siege tanks, when they're in siege mode, can do so much damage with their splash, even post nerf. Even though they do less damage versus unarmored units, I still think they are quite good against bioballs, because just look at how much these units clump up. A couple of siege shots, even though they only do 35 damage, can really obliterate mass Marine lines, and that's something that Morrow will have to be careful about. We can see Select now starting to push forward on the low ground, trying to establish whatever terrain position he can. This is a very tense moment in the game right now. Neither player wants to make a positional mistake. A mistake right now can cost the game if either of their players loses their entire army. Select doesn't want to unsiege all his tanks. He needs to leapfrog the tanks so that he never has a vulnerable spot. And we can see Morrow here spreading out his units very, very well. He could possibly get a massive concave onto Select here. Select gonna stim up, running up to the high ground. Doesn't want to leave his siege tanks vulnerable though, and here we go. Morrow even bringing in SCVs to break Select's back, and Select is going to lose absolutely everything. Great play by Morrow, pushing forward for victory. He obliterates the entire red army, and that could have been the critical junction in this game. Morrow now smells victory. He's pushing forward. Is he going to be able to take it? Select macroing quite well, however, has backup, sieging up on the high ground as well. Morrow's got to be careful. He's allowing a lot of his bio to just get obliterated by the siege tanks. but the tank does fall to the tanks down to the ground, and now Morrow's going to elevate his units in. Missile turret doing some damage to the dropships. Oh my goodness, Select here in a lot of trouble. The entire force is fortified and strong inside of Select's base, and Select has nothing to defend against this. He does have some tanks, but they are far out of position, and as a result, Select loses his starport. That is huge. We're not going to see any more dropships or even Viking production to counter Morrow's dropships for a long time, and that was a very good pick off by Morrow. Now coming in with another strike force, interested in taking out this third. No defense here to speak of, and these Marines and Marauders could possibly kill off a lot of SCVs, all of them getting taken out, stim being used, and with the liftoff, I don't think Morrow's going to be able to take that out. So Select wisely lifts off his command center, keeps it alive, but loses some of his harvesters. Income tab now favoring the Teal Terran player Morrow, and he's looking very strong right now, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not sure if Select is going to be able to get back in this. He is definitely behind, although not by much, only by 10 harvesters. Both players are operating off of 3 base. 124 food for Select, the Red Terran player, and 163 for Morrow. So Morrow really with a much larger opening lead right here. Small battle here. Select's going to pick off a lot of those Marines and Marauders, some of their fragments and body limbs and parts falling to the ground there. And we can see that Morrow still retains map control. He's able to freely move around the gold expansions. These roads are controlled by the Teal Terran, and Morrow's just doing a great job right now. Select, though, has good placement of his sensor towers. You guys can see there are 2 sensor towers on the minimap, as indicated by these white circular globes here, which does give vision, excuse me, not vision, but movement to Select, so it's kind of like a proximity sensor. But here we go. Morrow gonna come in with dropships in front, a lot of Marines and Marauders shooting the Manx statues, so I guess Morrow is the insurgent force here. They are the guys who have no respect for any authority whatsoever. And Morrow really pushing forward. He's got full map control, as I said before. Is going to load up some of his forces into these dropships, going to try to elevate her. He's only bringing in 2 dropships, however. Could this be some kind of diversion tactic? Not exactly sure. Going to drop off 3 dropships worth, excuse me, 2 dropships worth, forcing Select to pull all of his forces to deal with this, and I think Morrow's going to lose the majority of his drop force here. Not going to be able to unsiege in time, but in the meantime, it was a diversion. Great distraction play from Morrow here. Going to run up and take out all the tanks on the high ground. There's about 3 or 4 tanks up there, and Morrow looking very good. Select here has no dropships to heal these Marines and Marauders, and keep in mind that was because Select lost his starport earlier with the reactor, so now he's down to a singular starport, no reactor whatsoever, because keep in mind reactors take so long to build that he just can't afford to do it. He needs dropships ASAP, and he is trying to get as many out as he can, but he's only got 1, already draining all the energy on that poor medvac. And Select is boldly pushing out. He knows he's behind. He has to make something happen. 178 food. And here we go. Massive engagement here, but these Marines and Marauders are so weak. They have no health and no fortitude. There are some tanks to fall back to. Select boldly taking the gold. So knowing that he's behind, he's going to try to secure this gold expansion. But I don't know. This is a very risky maneuver for Select, because if he can gain this, that's option A. Then that's outcome A. Then he's going to shoot way ahead in terms of income over his opponent. But most likely, rather than not, Morrow has control of these Xel'Naga watchtowers. He's going to siege up tanks on these watchtowers, or even possibly the counter gold expansion, and then he can just siege the mineral line and the Vespine gas. And that is why taking these golds on Metalopolis in TVT is so difficult. It is staggeringly difficult. And so Morrow realizes that. He has control of these watchtowers right now. Gonna be another massive battle on the southern road here. Tank gets sniped out. Select here in a lot of trouble. Could possibly lose the majority of his forces, but he has some tanks on the high ground to fall back to once again. So good placement of tanks, keeping Select in this game. Oh my goodness, but Marines and Marauders running in. This time there's a planetary fortress to defend. SCVs keeping that fortress alive with repair as well. And Morrow with a small strike force. I think this is going to get taken out relatively quickly here, as there's another attack force for Select. Moving out, he's trying to eke his way back into this game whatever way he can. This guy's got balls of steel, but he's gonna lose all of his tanks right here at the gold. Man, if he can hold on to this gold expansion, that would be huge, but I don't think it's gonna happen. This planetary fortress still in transition, could possibly get taken out, but a backup force of Marines coming in, gonna push Morrow back. My goodness, so much action going on the map right now. There are random tanks, random units placed everywhere. Marines here are getting taken out. That strike force finally dispatched by Morrow's defense. But Select, critically enough, is holding on to this gold expansion. This is what he needs if he wants to stay in this game. Morrow at 0-0 for his mech upgrades. His bio is at 1-1. Meanwhile, Select at 0-1 and his mech is at 0-0. So upgrades are relatively even for both players. And here we go. Select bringing in a lot of SCVs over to the gold, and watch his income spike up. Regardless that he's behind his enemy Terran, he's going to get a lot more income, and this is his chance to get back in this game if he can hold on to this gold. But like I said, Morrow's going to abuse the Xel'Naga watchtowers.